Assassin's Creed did horrible at the box office and got awful reviews. So Assassin's Creed came out December 21st. So when I'm recording this, we are 2 weeks into its release, and it had a production budget of 125 million, marketed everywhere. So we're talking probably $200 million overall sunk into this movie. And domestic total has been 42 million. Foreign 44. It's only made back 87 million dollars. When to break even, it's probably got to hit about 300 to 400 million. Ain't gonna happen. This movie's a bomb, which is a shame because it's another failed video game movie. I always feel like with these games, like with Warcraft, they're made 5-6 years too late. What's interesting is that though this has Michael Fassbender as a producer. He's one of the biggest, hottest actors out there. Because he's cute. No, because he's a great actor. So he's on this. Jeremy Irons in this. You know, this is a real movie. This isn't a fucking bowl direct-to-DVD freaking video game movie like Postal or whatever. This is a real movie. Probably should not have been released in December. Star Wars killed everything in December, which didn't help as well. Obviously. That's obviously, not good when it comes out a week after Star Wars. They're not going to win. But this did not get any good reviews either. So it's not even a critical success. On Rotten Tomatoes, what we got on Rotten Tomatoes? 17%. The average rating among the critics is 3.9 out of 10. Critics' consensus is Assassin's Creed is arguably better made and certainly better cast than most video game adaptations. Unfortunately, the CGI-fueled end result still is a joylessly overplotted slog. All right. One of the main criticisms we had in the build-up to this movie is that the news was that the majority of this movie took place in modern day and not in the Renaissance with all the, Assassin's Creed action going on. And when you're playing these games, that's what you want to do. You want to assassinate people, in Italy, in the Renaissance. You don't want to be in the fucking Total Recall machine talking to fucking doctors and creepy scientists. But that's what this movie turns out it really is. One reviewer, Assassin's Creed mistakenly assumes that the plot is the most important element of its source material. Actually, it's the least. I suppose you could say the film made me slightly more likely to play one of the games, but only because I do just about anything before I saw the movie again. Obtuse, narratively incoherent, and ultimately frustrating, it stands as another example of how hard it is to make a good mainstream movie out of a popular computer game. Oof. In the game-to-film genre, which includes such memorable disasters as Silent Hill and Hitman 47, this is yet another disorganized, incoherent, nearly unwatchable entry. The game's premise is unsuitable for mining dramatic tension, a waste of star power and your time. Forget the 3D glasses for Assassin's Creed. They should hand out blinders and earmuffs. Assassin's Creed makes Warcraft look like an Oscar winner. It takes itself entirely too seriously. It abandons everything that players loved about the game series. So you have a movie made where they take this plot. It sounds like they take the fun out of the experience, which again is just like running around killing people in stealth-like fashion in the Renaissance, and they're making a plot-centric movie. That's just a mistake. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. So they were planning to do a trilogy for Assassin's Creed. At this point, I don't see that happening. This movie's a bomb. It sounds like a borderline embarrassment. Like they said, it makes Warcraft look Oscar-worthy. And Warcraft didn't even get that bad reviews in comparison. Well, actually, it did slightly better, 4.2 out of 10. But it did better with the critics in terms of 28% versus 17%. Okay, that's still not good. But Warcraft, remember, Warcraft did well in China, which was a saving grace. It bombed in the U.S. But Warcraft did all right in Asia. So it's not a slam dunk there's going to be a Warcraft sequel because they're not sure that it made enough still. All right, so Warcraft did 430 million worldwide according to this article. It might lose money overall. but that doesn't necessarily rule out a sequel. See, with a movie like the danger though is that when a movie doesn't turn either doesn't turn a profit at all or a big profit, and they greenlight a sequel, that means the sequel is going to be cheaper than the original, and that's bad news for the scope of a movie, or the effects budget, or the length of the movie. You can't do the same sort of movie cheaper, to make a profit. That's the danger. You do this epic Warcraft movie. Now you want to do a trilogy, but the movie didn't make enough money to really carry it in the same scope. That's not a good either. So, I mean, at this point, can we get an excellent video game movie at this point? I mean, is it possible? What did Prince of Persia, did that do well? I don't think that made that much money, but I don't remember that being that bad. Of 36% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5 out of 10. Right, so it got an average review overall. Or excuse me, average rating, but still not great. I don't know what it's going to take. I just don't know. I think at this point you're more likely to get them taking a video game, like just the name, like Grand Theft Auto, and then just doing an entire story and plot that has nothing to do with the game it's based upon. Just run with your own sort of theme, because it's getting harder and harder to not just replicate the same sort of feelings from the video game experience when you're playing, because a movie is different than a video game. It's a different medium. But it's getting also harder to interest the game audience enough to get them all into the theater. Because if they can't do it with Warcraft, what can you do it with? What was the only one they kind of did it with recently? Well, actually, now I think about it, Angry Birds. But Angry Birds doesn't really have a story. So they could create their own story and then appeal to kids. But that still didn't get good reviews. That was 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. Did that make money, though? Let me see. Mojo, Angry Birds. That was an animated movie, so it doesn't actually count. I mean, any kid's going to go see an animated movie. So, all right. So Angry Birds did $107 million domestic, and it did $350 million worldwide on a $73 million budget. So that definitely turned a profit, even before merchandising and everything else. That definitely did a good profit, Angry Birds. But again, they could have made that movie without there being a video game. In this case, it was almost just a coincidence that there had to be, a video game based upon talking birds that fly at each other and fight off pigs. You know what I mean? Like, you could do that movie without a video game. So that's almost like that's almost doesn't matter. I can almost guarantee you that those kids watching that movies, most of those kids didn't play that game before. Or a chunk of them did it. That was just the sort of the matinee that their babysitter or parents took their 3 and 4-year-olds to, that weekend. Because Angry Birds hasn't been a huge game for the past 4 years. It's sort of just trailed off more and more. But maybe that's what it is. Again, maybe that's what it is. You just have to sort of license out the name and do your own fucking story, and don't expect or don't count on the game audience to fill the theaters.